Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. This is going to be part 2 of our broken systems. We will be discussing the legal system. As of now, I cannot promise this is not going to be more than one video just dealing with the legal system because it is a very vast, complex, and scattered system that covers many branches and facets. Bear with me for a few moments while I share these remainder links out. I see they fixed that problem. Yesterday we couldn't share the personal pages. Alright, now that we got that done, take a real quick moment here. I actually want to share a couple things before we get started into this. Guys, I know you've heard me talk about this new platform, Worldy. You know, it's still in development, but it's got all the things that we want when it comes to freedom of speech, protecting our speech, allowing us to post the content that we enjoy without having to worry about things. You know, as it continues to grow and stuff, they'll be adding new things that we find on other platforms. There will be things that some of you guys haven't seen on some of the platforms you're on. I've been watching them work on this the past 3 weeks. Also throw some of my feedback back. That's the one thing I really do enjoy about Christina Taft and her developers. They sit there and listen to all of our feedback so they can get the best platform for all of us. But that does take time. Like I said, it's still in development. But the more feedback that we can get on here and give these guys what we're looking for on a platform, that has everything, that's going to protect our free speech. She listens. She takes your feedback. That's something we don't get to experience every day. We definitely don't get to experience on places like Gab, Minds, Facebook, Twitter, or any platform where we actually have a creator and founder of a platform that cares about your opinions and views, that wants to protect your opinions and views, and at the same time wants to give you a place to come where it offers those things that you value the most on these other platforms. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I'll drop the link in the chat. Just remember, it is still under development. They're still working things out, but that's the other thing. She listens to your feedback. If you find something that's not working, send her an email. Direct message her here on Worldy or Twitter, and she'll listen. And they'll work on fixing some of the things. They fixed quite a little bit here of late that was glitching. So, like I said, she's got an amazing development team, and they actually care about what we want as for our platform. Now, to get into tonight's subject, the legal systems. The other major broken system. For those that missed the last one, the first episode of the broken system, I talked about the caste system. Mainly because it is the oldest known system in history. It is a system that every country, every religion, every culture, everything uses. And we'll see many of that structure in any of the systems that we talk about, especially the legal system. What does the legal system consist of? Well, for me, the legal system is going to consist of many things, all the way up to our Supreme Court, state level, federal level, our judiciary systems, just not our common pleas, but federal, civil, even the DOJ, Department of Justice. Then we have, within the legal system, we have the federal, the FBI, the police. They're all part of a legal system. So yeah, this could turn out to be a two-part video. Just because of, like I said, there's so many different facets in this system. You know, I think for most of us, the first thing that pops out to us, especially on this channel, is our Constitution, which is supposed to be the law of the land, is supposed to help govern our legal systems and other systems, along with our Bill of Rights. You know, it's supposed to protect us. And we've seen how it's always constantly under attack, constantly put up for question. You know, we have a justice system that is part of the legal system that is broke. And I think I'm going to start kind of right in that area tonight, dealing with the justice system, prison systems, and expand from there. Because that is one of the most broken parts of the system that is broke. To where it's broke and designed that only 1% make it out of that system, instead of becoming part of the revolving door aspect of it. Why? Because it is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's become something beyond a legal system. It's become a corporation. It's become based on money. Every person that goes to jail goes to prison. States get paid. Prisons get paid. Private sectors have got involved. It's all become about the money, so therefore they want to keep the system full. They don't want people to get out and become role model citizens, productive citizens. They want them back in the system so they keep making money off them, so that they basically treat the prisoners like they are cattle at a cattle market that has value. You know, one of my biggest issues has been watching how it's played out over the years, knowing people that's been caught in that system. No matter how hard they try, it seems like, oh, you can't find a job quick enough, so that's a violation. We're sending you back. I mean, yeah, there are people out there who just don't get it and enjoy going back. But there's plenty of others that get out that try. Then there's some that get out and they realize the cards are stacked no matter what they do, no matter how much they work hard to get out of the system, they still find their way back in it because it was designed to put them back in it, whether they get a PO officer that's following the same process, knowing how the system works, knowing how much they get kicked back or paid if they keep that person in the system. You know, and every state's a little bit different in how they do it, but they've all done practically the same thing. They removed any form of education, any form of programs that would teach people that are in prison a skill, a trade, because they don't want them skilled. They don't want them to have a trade. They want them to go out there and come right back. I mean, it's so messed up that even the unions have got involved, to where correction officers are part of unions. This is how bad this part of the system is. And some will say, "Well, why are you touching on them? They don't matter." Well, that's some of the problem. That's part of this broken system. It goes back to what I was saying about the caste system. There's that deception. They want you to think that every last person that's in the prison system is the scum of the earth and deserves to be there and don't deserve to see the light of day. I see it every day. I see it where people, oh, he's an ex-felon, he's a convict. And they truly don't realize that many of these people got put in there for something they should have never even been sent to prison for, where it should have been just county time or a fine in community service. But it doesn't work like that. That only works for the rich. You know, here's how bad this system has gotten. A lot of times, especially towards the winters, we'll have homeless that will intentionally do something to get locked up for the winter so they don't have to be on the streets. They even play on that aspect because it's money. Once that person enters the system, they become a value. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that deserve to be there and never see the light of day. We can all agree on that. When you have rapists, murderers, they deserve to be in there. But guess what, guys? That's not what's inside the system. That's the minority of the system. That's the problem. Late 90s, early 2000s, the system was being overflowed with people that were abusing Oxycontin, getting strung out, drug addicts, crime. And that's not for dealing, guys, but for possession. They were sending them to prison. Why? They're cash money. They're going to violate. They're going to go back out because we're not going to give them access to programs to help them so they don't go back. Instead of making them go to a program before you send them to county or before you send them to prison, they just got to where they were decided on prison. Why do you think they push the narcotics thing so bad? Why do you think we have a bad opiate problem right now? Why do you think they get people addicted to things? Because it feeds our legal system. It makes money. Not only is it making money for the pharmaceutical companies that are producing the opioids, but it's now feeding the broken legal system. You know, you got to start to see how everything plays out. And most people don't even understand that the prison system and the whole legal system is a multi-billion dollar, and we could probably say $1 trillion when you combine them all. Because, like I said, there's so many facets to the legal system. We have states that don't honor individuals' constitutional rights. I live in one such state. There used to be a federal law about sending people to prison, federal prison, and it was you did your time, then you did probation. If you violated your probation, you go back up to half. You could go back to up to half the time that you were sentenced. So if you were sentenced to 8 years, you did your 8 years, you got out, and you had up to 3 to 5 years probation. So if you violated that, they could send you back up, supposedly up to 90 days at a time on your first couple violations, then send you back to do the rest of your half of your time. Ohio, what happened was the Supreme Court ruled on that and told the feds that's unconstitutional. So the feds got rid of it. Well, what did the state of Ohio do? They picked up the very law that the Supreme Court has had ruled on as unconstitutional. They used it as an excuse. Well, we want to stop the parole board system. We're going to introduce this law in to fix our overcrowding problem. It had the complete opposite effect because the parole board wasn't. They were doing their thing, not giving people the releasing them, making them do almost their whole time before they would even be allowed to be released. Next thing you know, we end up going from a crowded prison system to an overcrowded prison system within months of the law taking effect, because the judges were just socking people with 2 years under the maximum sentence because they don't have to, they sentence you to the full maximum sentence. You have the right to appeal and bring it back to court. So they had to give you the minimum. Well, how that worked is it is what the judge decides is the minimum for that case. And what they were doing was they would keep it under. They'd drop, instead of giving you the max, they'd say, well, my opinion, the minimum is 8 years. Or in the case of, because that F1 carries 10 years, F2 carries 8. So they take 2 years off the maximum. That's the maximum minimum sentencing guidelines, which the Supreme Court had ruled unconstitutional to the feds. That's why the federal system got rid of it. And you did day for day. Then, when you got out, so in reality, what you were actually being sentenced to, say you got 5 years. Depending on the crime, if it was an F2, and obviously it was because they dropped 2 years, or no, it'd been 6 years. So obviously it was probably a violent crime or a drug-related crime of some sorts. They would give you anywhere between the minimum of 3 to 5 years paper. So what you did is you take the half the number you got sentenced, and you added it to your time because that's what was going to happen when you violated. It became such a revolving door that it was getting used and abused even to this day. The United States Supreme Court, from just in Ohio, has to rule on over, I think the last accurate number was over 5,000 cases, and terminate their probation because it's unconstitutional. But Ohio will not change the law because they're making so much money off it. Every time a person hits the receiving center and receives their number, the state gets paid. That is a very broken system. You know, we talk about due process, cruel and unusual punishment, but yet the legal system is breaking those various concepts of that. Why? Because it's become such a multi-billion-dollar process. That's why we have problems within the judiciary system with the lawyers. You know, the concept of what's that term? Public attorney, I think it is. That if you can't afford one will be provided for you. That's the worst thing that could ever happen to you. But they know you can't afford one. Most people can't afford a good attorney to actually go to court and actually fight their cases. And they know this. And court-appointed attorneys only get paid $500. You think that court-appointed attorney actually cares about what happens to you when they're only making $500 and you're tying up cases that they can be making thousands and thousands of dollars? No, they don't. In fact, they're real quick to work with the prosecuting attorney and make quick work of you. But yet, perfectly legal, right? No, it's not. Here, take this plea deal. They ain't gonna lower it. They ain't gonna get it any better. Here, take it. Basically, they're telling you, take this deal, so I don't have to deal with you, so I can go make thousands of dollars. That's the way the system's become. And I've interviewed countless people, and I've got friends that's been in and out of the system. That's the first thing they say. In fact, they don't call them public attorneys; they call them public pretenders. And most people, especially if it's their first time, they don't even know the law. Because look at this legal system. We have just in our states, they're passing laws and legislations every day. How often do we hear about it unless we're going to our state's website and seeing what they're passing? Actually, every day, checking. What did they pass today? Most people don't. So, just like here in Ohio, stupid law, right? Another stupid law. Well, kinda. But technically, if you turn your windshield wipers on to clean your windshield, you better have your lights on or you can get a ticket. That's just cleaning simple click of a button, pushing on the windshield wiper to clean your windshields. You can get a ticket for it because you're supposed to have your lights on. I mean, don't get me wrong, if it's raining out, cloudy and stuff, yeah, common sense should tell you to turn your lights on while you got your windshield wipers on. But hey, some people don't. I've seen it. I've seen people, it's downright pouring, you can barely see 20 feet in front of you, and there goes a car by. No lights on. But yet, they make stupid laws. How many cities have laws if you don't keep up your yards and stuff to their specification that they'll just send somebody over to mow it, trim it up, fine you, and on top of the fine that you get a ticket, you got to go to court, so there's another fee, and you're going to have to pay the fine. Then on top of that, you're going to have to pay the workers that came out there and did it. All because they didn't like the way your lawn looked. But let's look how much money they just made off you. Went to court. Well, automatically you got to pay court fees. So there's 300. The ticket is going to cost you 150. So now you're at 450. If you lose the case, you're going to have to pay for the workers because the judge is going to roll that in. So now you're talking almost $800 that you just had to pay out to the legal system. Now, we're saying you didn't get an attorney there because, well, we're talking thousands of dollars just for an attorney. So most people will just go in there, it's a petty ticket, and take it because it's cheaper than paying a lawyer. Attempt to fight it, but without legal representation, it's your word against pretty much, well, the city, the town. I mean, that's how crazy this legal system is. They're making laws up that's meant to oppress, that's meant to easily catch you up and put you in the system. Why? Because they know if they get you in the system, they have a chance of keeping you in the system for as long as they desire and making millions off you. While we're in this little area of talking, let's talk about the child support problem. Some of you, I know, deadbeat dads. Yes, there are some deadbeat dads. There's also some deadbeat moms. Let's not forget that. But there's plenty out there who aren't the word deadbeat. This system, and this is part of our legal system, is by far the most screwed up system I've ever seen. Because it's designed to put you in jail. And that's the part that's never made any sense to me. You get behind on child support, which is not hard to do. If your work shuts down, it's running slow and they shut down, you know, you're still having to pay what you did. I mean, you send paperwork in, my understanding, to let them know, but, by the time they get the paperwork, you're still having to pay whatever it is for how many kids you have to pay for, and you start getting behind. Or you get sick, end up in the hospital. You're not working. Child support don't stop. They don't care about your situation. So once you reach that point to where you've gotten so far backed up, it becomes, oh, we're going to take your license away. We're going to send you to jail for back child support and not offer you work release, which therefore puts you farther behind because you're not working. You're sitting in jail for back child support. Where's the logic in that, guys? I've never found the logic in this. You want to put a person in jail for back child support when that person needs to be working to catch up on the child support, right? But yet you want to lock him up, don't give him access to work release, and dude's hoping, he or she's hoping that she has some vacation time that she can use, or he can use, so they don't lose their job. Oh wait, they don't, and they lose their job because they're in jail for back child support. Makes no sense to me, and it happens all the time. A lot of these people sometimes we call deadbeat dads and deadbeat moms. They're not. They've just been abused by the system. Plus, we live in a day and age right now where it takes two parents to support a family. I've seen the abuse of this system. On both sides and all sides, I've seen every scenario in between. I've seen where One parent's like, I'm just going to get a part-time job so I don't have to pay child support, and we'll just live off him. Because in most cases, the father doesn't get the children anyway. And in rare cases, it's joint where they both have to pay, which, me personally, I think that's the way it should be. Both parents. It took two of you to bring that child into this world. It takes two of you to support them. That should not change. Both parents should be having the same responsibility. It should be divided in half, but they don't do that. They put the burden. Most cases it don't happen. Like I said, the joint thing where both have to pay equally, which is the way it should be, is rare. You have to fight, and there you go. You have to pay for lawyer fees, which you can't afford because you got to pay the child support. The system's designed to sink you under. They don't use the common sense of law. They don't use the law as it's written. But they're quick to slap that label on you. Deadbeat dad, deadbeat mom. When it's actually in 90%, this is 90% of the cases, it's actually the system that's causing the deadbeat parent. Because it's designed to. It's designed. Why? Because we're going to get paid as soon as we can lock him up or her up for not paying their child support. We're going to make money off them. I mean, it gets to a point where you put all the burden on one person. And if they're paying child support for, let's say, 4 kids, paying a house mortgage, that parent's becoming forced to work 2 jobs. Not all relationships end in a happy, long, till death do us part type scenario, unfortunately. But yet they don't want to fix the system. They don't want to make both parents responsible. Took two of you to bring this child into this world. It's going to take two of you to support it. And that's the way it should be, but they won't fix that. Why? Because they can make money off you every chance they get, because they know eventually you're going to get backed up. It happens. Your job's going to slow down, or you're going to lose your job. And by the time it takes them to process the paperwork to recognize that you lost your job, they already got you in the hole. A broken system that nobody wants to talk about because, oh, it's just a deadbeat parent. Well, it's not always a deadbeat parent. It is the legal system that is broken because they know they're going to make money off that individual. Lawyers are going to make money off that person because, yeah, going through a divorce, going through having to deal with child support cases, got to bring lawyers in. Never ending. Like I said, this legal system, we might as well not call it a legal system because it's a corporation now. It's based on making money. And we've just touched on a little bit of the judiciary and prison system and lawyers. We haven't even got into the police departments, the federal departments, the state departments. You got a problem when you have unions jumping in to run prison systems. It makes you wonder why they've done all the things they've done over the years. I mean, they've stripped everything out of the prison system. There's no chance for a person to get educated inside the prison system or the county jails. Nope. There's no programs anymore to get them the help they need for the addictions. Why? Because they don't want them to get help. They don't want them to reform. Even when they broke the person, they're going to break him or her even more by putting them through that revolving door policy that they had so they can keep making money off the person. The probation department, parole department, they're making money off the individuals that are coming into the system. The more that's in the system and overloading the system, the more money they're making. But nobody wants to talk about that because it's the scum of the earth. They broke the law. They deserve to be there. That's almost 80% of people's mentality when it comes to talking about that part of the legal system. They'd much rather talk about what's going on at the federal system and the abuse there. You know, we have a system. This is how bad this legal system is. This legal system won't even protect a whistleblower. Why? Because the whistleblower is bringing some corporation down for the illegal stuff they committed. So we don't want to protect the person that's leaking the information or giving the information on the corporation. Because I know we touched on this in another broadcast a little bit ago. Somebody asked my opinion about whistleblowers. Well, the system's broken. We wouldn't have a problem with people going to WikiLeaks or fleeing our country and selling what they know to another country if they would be protected in the system. The system would do what it was designed to do and protect them so that these corporations could be kept in check, government could be kept in check, police departments could be kept in check. There's no protection for the whistleblower. Why? Because now you're messing with people's money. They don't want you protected. They don't want a legal system that will protect you. So we have people like Snowden and countless others that's given information to WikiLeaks because they know the system's broke. They know if they open their mouth and, well, we're going to give you witness protection. We're going to protect you. Yeah, we see how that works for people like that when they're dealing with corporations. It doesn't, which tells you something else. There's something wrong within the federal part. You know, because I think we do need more whistleblowers. But like all things, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. What Snowden did, unfortunately, when he sold information or gave information to another country, he committed treason. All those good intentions don't mean anything when you violate our law of the land. We've gotten so far away from the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the things that are meant to protect us, that do I knock him? I mean, I get it, I do, but he screwed up. I know a lot of people look at him as a hero for things he released and said. You know what? He was, up until he gave information to another country. Then he became a treason. Then he committed treason, and it's not his fault. He needed protection because he knew our system is broken. But we accept and we believe in the idea of ending this corruption, right? We want these systems fixed. Well, we want to get all this corruption out of there. All these corrupt politicians, corrupt corporations, all these corrupt, broken systems. Well, that's the thing, guys. Then we have to break the habit of the double standard. There isn't a double standard. The law is the law. Our Constitution is the law of this land. If a law violates the Constitution, then therefore it is not a law and it needs to be removed. We need to get back to that principle. And we need to treat everybody, no matter what their position, stature, illusion of power may be, that the law applies to them as well. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, it's the same law for everybody. And start enforcing that law that is constitutional, the punishment that is constitutional. So let's jump to the police departments. I mean, I gotta give many of them. They really do. They believe in what they're out there to do, protect and serve. And that's the other misconception here. That's another part of that broken system because there's bad apples everywhere. Unfortunately, these bad apples get protected. And unfortunately, the whole group gets blamed for the bad apples. You know, and I know this probably ain't going to go over well with the Leos out there, but here's my opinion. It goes back to what I just stated. There ain't two laws. You break the law while wearing the badge, you're no different than any of us. You're a citizen. The law applies to you. You should be stripped of your badge, put in jail, just like we would be. Given a bond, because you have a right to bond, and you have a right to a trial, a fair trial, to prove your innocence. But not, oh, we're going to investigate it, we're going to give him death duty. No, it don't work like that. He is an everyday citizen. The law applies to him as it applies to me. I break the law, I go through the process. Just like that cop. If he breaks the law, or it is thought he broke the law, because we know, hey, somebody said you were here, that you did this, so we're going to bring you in for questioning. We're going to see if there's any evidence, or we're going to book you under suspicion. Same process applies. You know, if I'm involved in a shooting, I can't use that example anymore, really, because I live in Ohio and we have the castle law, which they've been pretty good at upholding here. But I lived in a state that didn't have laws that protected your rights to self-defense, and I committed a shooting in defense. Guess what? Since I don't live in Ohio, that has the castle law and stand your ground laws, I'm going to jail, and I'm going to be booked for firing a weapon. And depending on how they want to write it up, even though might have been in defense, I'm going to have to go through the court proceeding. Same thing should apply to the cops. That's the first step of getting rid of those bad apples. The second step is the cops need to start policing their own. Start saying, no, you broke the law and you need to be in jail. You're no different than anybody else. Because they don't have an easy job. And their job's made even harder every time one of these bad apples goes out and does something stupid. Then the rest of them got to pay for it because instantly everybody's blaming all of them because of one bad apple, one stupid person. But the irony in that is, the truth is, you guys have lost our trust because we see it time and time again where a cop does something that is wrong and they don't get nothing out of it. Where if one of us did it, we'd be in jail and probably going to prison because we don't have a union rep and unions that's going to pay for our lawyer fees and try to get us off. We're going to have to do that ourselves. That's just another part of the broken system because now we're back to having a caste system set inside the police departments. We have that hierarchy. We have chief of police and stuff that have become political. That ignore the oath that they took and play the politics. No, I'd like to see it go back to the way it used to be, where the cops would interact with the community. Come in, hey, how you doing? People didn't worry about, oh, he's coming over here to mess with me or arrest me or harass me. No, they came over here to talk. Communities were safer then because that officer was protecting and serving. He was being a pillar of the community. He was interacting with the community, hearing their views. We've gotten so far away from that. So now, whenever something bad happens because of one idiot, every time a cop after that, because it gets people so riled up, which is the media's fault, and politicians that want to provoke people to do something stupid. Because it's real easy to do when people have lost their trust and faith in an organization that's supposed to be a pillar of our communities, that are supposed to protect and serve. But it's not their fault because it's how the system was designed. They designed it that way because they could use it to incite, to rile people up, to break that trust. Because they didn't like it before when, cops were actually trusted. Oh no, that goes against all their agendas. Because then the people trust the cops. Then the cops might just arrest them when they get a DUI instead of, oh, you're what? Oh, you're the mayor? Oh, you're a congressman? Oh, yeah, I'll let you slide. Let me call you a cab. No, they broke the law. That's the problem. Huh, interesting. I just realized what I had done when I scheduled this video. Which makes no sense. It shouldn't have let me even create the event when it wasn't even. Oh yeah, it would have because I set it for 8:30, thinking it was 8 o'clock when I started, when in actuality it was 7:30. See, one of those days, dealing with the heat. You know, this legal system, I mean, it's, wow, it's bad. It's bad when we lost the trust of our police departments, our sheriff's departments. Now we're pushing, the narrative is being pushed. We can't, I don't think any of us really trusted the feds to begin with, but it's even worse now. I mean, I'm sure I fall under that guilty category there, of never trusting the feds. Because they seem to always act like they're above our Constitution. That they're above our laws. So, you know, those dogs have been at it all day. Let's touch on a little bit of the federal aspect since we mentioned feds, but I want to move over to like touching on subjects like taking a person's property. You know, we've got, I don't think people realize, you know, the BLM, business and land management, as they play on the legal system as well. They hide under it, abuse it. They'll jump in on convincing towns and cities, well, declare that eminent domain so we can force the people off the property. You know, I don't care how eminent a domain it is. If that's a person's property and they don't want to sell it, government has no right to it. Why? Because you want to put a highway through there? Or wait, you want to declare it a national monument? And 90% of the time we come to find out it's because it has precious resources, oil or some other stuff. Or it's a place where we're going to put solar panels. So we're going to find a way to force the people off the land, either through intimate domain or other venues. You know, as we've kind of seen some of the classic cases of the BLM with connections to the Uranium One stuff, forcing ranchers off their property that the families have owned for over 100 years, pushing it to the point where the feds have to come in. That's another abuse of our legal system. And I don't think, I mean, how many people don't realize how much power and authority a park ranger has. That's actually a federal employee. They're also part of the legal system. Oh, trust me, I know this one. I learned this one at age 16. My first ever ticket came from a park ranger. Reckless operation of a motor vehicle. Oh, because my tranny slipped and I kicked up some stones and got sideways. Just happened as I did that, the park ranger was turning down that road. And he wasn't believing my story, even though the people who got some gravel kicked up under their cars even said, "Oh, we heard it, his transmission slipped." Didn't care, not one bit. Now, you used to be able to go in and prove that in a courtroom, and it would you wouldn't have been charged with the reckless op. You just go fix the. Is it fixed? Here's the receipt showing it's fixed. Okay, pay the court cost. Get out of here. They don't work like that anymore. In fact, it didn't work back then either. But yeah, that's people don't understand that. Like I said, there's many facets of this legal system, and they've all got their abuses. Not so much really on the park ranger thing. It's just letting people know that hey, they're not the group to mess with because they actually carry federal power. But it's just pointing out that hey, when you're dealing with BLM or the government declaring somebody's property, telling them they have to move out, we're making this a national park or a national historical society, that they're overstepping their boundaries. I'm not a fan of eminent domain. I've seen how it's been used and abused for stupid things because corporations want that piece of land or they want the resources on that land. And they do whatever they can to force a person out. Then, if anybody stands up against it, they become the criminal, when actually they're the victims of a broken system. Sure, we've all still have the Bundy situation fresh in our mind. Just another way how the fifth system failed the Bundys. How the system was used to illegally bring about a situation. You see, the legal system is supposed to be a system that is made up of laws that are constitutional. I don't think I don't think people realize the full scope of that ruling about how much money corporations could donate to a political fund because they took it on that. That has nothing to do with anything else, right, guys? Man, we had 4 justices that wrote exactly what would transpire if that passed, and if they didn't knock it down. And conveniently, one of the justices died. You can make up your own opinions and views on that scenario, how that played out. I mean, I have my own. I think it's very, very fishy, especially when, once again, the legal system was broken. We're talking about a Supreme Court justice. Even if it was he died of natural causes, or if it was an accident, his body was to be brought back to D.C. and a federal autopsy was to be done, not, oh, I checked it, I was a coroner, and I signed off for the body to be cremated. Well, there's a little problem with that. The family would have never signed off on that body being cremated for one. He was Jewish. It goes against their faith. But yet, See, we just introduced another aspect to the legal system. Who would have thought that morgues and I can't think of the word that those guys are actually had to come out, pronounce people either dead and do the autopsies. They're also part of the legal system because their findings can build a case, or the lack of their findings could be no case, or, in my personal opinion, in this case, dude knew the law, knew that it was a Supreme Court justice, and knew that a federal autopsy had to be done. Who was paying his pockets? That's what I want to know. But that's my opinion and view because not much can be done about it now. Body's been cremated and it's been pretty much well swept under the rug. But the fact was, the system was broke even there because they didn't follow the law. They didn't follow the federal law or what the constitution of it. But back to the matter at hand. See, everybody thinks that's what their ruin was all about and was money. No, it went farther than that because you got to understand how the legal system and the law works. When it is written into law, it becomes a legal document, binding contract, whatever the proper label you want to use. There's so many. The fact is, when we said corporation, how they worded it, they said the corporation is not a U.S. citizen, therefore the Constitution does not apply to the corporation because it is a group of citizens working for it. Judge Scalise and three others wrote exactly what had happened. It would get used and abused. The corporations would start doing what they wanted because of the wording. It is not a U.S. citizen, so therefore the Constitution doesn't apply. Now it's no longer a matter of money. It's a matter of whatever they want to do because the Constitution doesn't apply, so they can do whatever they want. That's why we see these corporations just doing what they want. Once again, our system failed us that time. 5 judges failed us that time. Which is kind of why it's important that we're real picky about who our Supreme Court justices are. But we, the people, don't have a say in that. Unfortunately, it's the politicians that we elect that many of them, we all know this, those of us from the 90s, we knew that half the Congress was oil tycoons or oil investors, had money tied up in oil product wells and stuff. How many of these politicians now are tied to the pharmaceutical industries and other corporations? You think they're going to vote against their backer? No. Once again, our legal system fails us because now the corporations, because they're not bound by our legal system anymore, can do what they want. But yet our judiciary system or our justice of department system doesn't intercede on that and go after the congressmen that are abusing the laws, that are taking money from a corporation. Because in a sense, when they take money from that corporation, they're swaying their vote from the people to vote for and vote with what the corporation wants them to do. So therefore, they're not for the people. They're for the corporations. They're for those big corporations that back the politicians or the party base. So for everybody that thinks that, you want to play the label game, I'm this or that. So which corporation do you belong to? Which foreign entity are you allowing to represent your vote? Think about that. Yes, I said foreign entity because corporations can dump as much money as they want to one of those labeled campaigns that you choose to throw your votes for. And that could be owned by some Saudi prince in Saudi Arabia, some guy from Iran, any country that owns a corporation here in the United States. Once more, our legal system failed us. They talk about influencing an election. Well, they are kind of right. There was influence on the election from corporations. But they don't talk about that because they're not going to talk about who puts money in their campaign funds. They're not going to piss off their campaign funds. But if we do something like that, guess what? It becomes a crime. It's illegal. We're only allowed as a U.S. citizen to donate so much. We're not allowed to give a politician a night on the town. But the lobbyists are. See, once more, we're dealing with a double standard in the legal system. It's illegal for us to do it, but it's perfectly fine for the lobbyists to do it. It's perfectly fine for the big corporations to take them out, give them things. But if we do it, it's a crime. It's called. There's many crimes, many titles for bribery, bribing an elected official. But where's the justice? Where's the Justice Department? And pointing that very thing out. Not gonna happen. Why? Let's keep it real. Let's talk about a certain judicial part of the justice system that hears cases against pharmacies and pharmaceutical companies. You get no legal representation, especially if you're trying to sue over some vaccine. You get no legal representation. You have no right to subpoena or request information from the company. You got to bring, and oh, here's the best part. There's no judge. It's just a representative of the Department of Justice that sets in, and who is actually, better term for the word, is a prosecutor and attorney for the pharmaceutical company who hears your case and who determines if there was a law broken. Let's talk about a very broken system that violates our very Constitution. But we're dealing with a pharmaceutical company. It's a corporation, therefore it's not. The Constitution doesn't apply. Wow. The fact is, the legal system, when you start delving into it, going deeper, it's like it covers so much. I mean, how was I able to tie corporations and pharmaceuticals into the legal system, even politicians into the legal system? Because they know it. They make the laws, clear down to our state levels. Then they put that double standard that they're above that law. Until we fix that, and that is probably one of the biggest broken things of the legal system, is the double standard. There should be no double standard. We are all U.S. citizens. We are all to be treated equally, no matter what our position in life is or stature in life is. But that's where the caste system comes back into play. As I pointed out, every branch we've talked about has a caste system, has a hierarchy. Told you guys, every topic I talk about, I can bring it right back to the caste system. Even the legal system that is so broken, that's so mistrusted now. I mean, we got senators, congressmen, statesmen that are trying to pass laws that violate our Constitution on a regular. We've got in Maryland, D.C., I don't know if the governor signed it, and I went back and looked at it, but the state congressional committee, both sides passed a bill to where just by talking about this right now, theoretically or not, mention a politician's name or a justice name. If I lived in a state in Maryland, I could be arrested. That law in itself right there violates our very Constitution. It's not even, should be even thought about being passed into a law. And anybody that would actually pass that into a law and voted for it, brought it to it, and that the governor would sign it, they should be held for breach, for violating their oath and ethics charges. You know, I've always had an issue with the civil court systems because you could be found not guilty of a crime and still be charged in a civil court. Once again, we get back to that very idea. It's about money. Our legal system should never be about money. In fact, they need to take the money out of the legal system because all it does is corrupt the people that are playing. There's some good people that actually care about people. That it's not about the money for it. That's the type of people we need to put in our systems. We have judges on the federal side, on the federal circuit, Ninth Circuit to be exact, who have violated their oaths, committed ethics violations for ruling on cases based on politics, not law. You know, should only have to go in front of the Supreme Court once and be ruled on, but yet they want to keep bringing it back and back and back, trying to find a new way to word it. You know, that's where our Supreme Court should step up and just add it to the language that the next federal judge that brings this up, that is doing this on a political bias, has committed a crime. But that's not the Supreme Court's job. That's actually the Department of Justice job. And there's actually state agencies' jobs to bring that up. It's actually on the lawyers and other judges that see it to demand it be done. Goes back to just what we were talking about with the police. Policing their own. You know, it's pretty sad that we had a better legal system during the Wild West. Now there's some irony for you. And there was corruption then, too. But the law of the land was pretty simple and clear cut. 'Cause back then, prisons weren't making money to house people. Judges and attorneys weren't getting paid outrageous fees. Don't get me wrong, we had corporations back then, too. Some of you are probably thinking, no, we didn't. I'll give you an example. Wells Fargo. Yes, I'm talking about the bank. Wells Fargo used to run the stagecoaches, which means they had influence on the legal systems, on the sheriffs, because they were the ones that brought the money in and out. They'd hire groups like the Pinkertons, you know, contractors to adhere law, just not constitutional law. Their idea of the law. We had it even back then. Most people don't even realize. Some of us forget that, Wells Fargo's been around for a very long time. Even I had forgotten that. But that's part of the broken systems. Last few years, we've seen our state, at the state level and federal level, instead of supporting this police department stuff, bring in private contractors to uphold laws, to be guards at rallies and stuff, to secure buildings, to be temporary guards, but they're not police. They actually have no jurisdiction when it comes to the legal aspect. But yet, states have used them. Governments use them here on our soil. Because there's a loophole in the legal system. That allows them to go to private contractors to do such stuff. Bring in private contractors during a hurricane for the cleanup in the process. No one questions it, no one talks about it. But we hear some horror stories along the way of things that have happened. And sometimes it gets blamed on the National Guard or other agencies that are there. When come to find out, you think about it, it was actually contractors. Makes you think. So let's get into everyone's favorite topic of recent. Sanctuary cities. They are not only violating our federal law, they're violating our constitutional laws too. Now, there should be no question or argument about what illegal alien is, or illegal immigration is. And we have clear laws in our Constitution and in the federal level that these states that claim to be sanctuary cities are violating and breaking, which therefore they've committed a crime. Whether it be the mayor, the governor, the chief of police, the statesmen that run their state's Congress, when they're not adhering to the law of the land and the federal law. But instead of, once more, we see the broken part of the legal system. Instead of going after the ones that are, we're passing this law to make this city a sanctuary state. We're telling our police officers to stand down. We're telling our police officers, telling ICE agents they're not allowed here or there. Those people that are saying that are the mayors, the governors, the chief of police, they broke the law, and therefore they should be facing a federal judge. They should be arrested on a federal crime. But yet we have this double standard where it's a mayor, it's an elected official, it's a congressman, it's the chief of police, it's a judge. That law don't apply to them. Last time I checked, you're a U.S. citizen, so therefore, yes, it does apply to you. That's why we see tension so high right now. Part of the reason, because it's the broken legal system. You know, I was going through some research just a couple days ago, because I seen some posts, so I wanted to do my own little research on it. We see people that are, and these are certain states, that are, and you can tell which states it happens in, that were, you know, inciting riots, breaking stuff, hitting people. You know, the Antifa groups and the like. Came across several that, because they were in a certain state, you know, that was more sanctuary and anti whatever label it was, they were getting slaps on the wrist. Here, do community service and pay a fine. Where in non-sanctuary states and non-anti label states, they were getting the book thrown at them because they committed a crime. And it wasn't a crime that deserved a slap on a wrist. I will admit one of them, I think they went a little overboard. They were talking like 10 years, but, you know, but it depends on the severity of the case. Would you vandalize? Did you put somebody in the hospital? And either way, it don't matter. If you're in that group that committed that and did that, guess what? You're still just as guilty as the person that put somebody in the hospital by the law. You know the old saying, don't be the driver, because the driver is going to end up getting more than the people that actually committed the crime. Doesn't pay to be the getaway driver. He had no part of what took place that the people did, but he's just as guilty for every crime they committed. And he's charged for every crime that they committed. See, once more, we get politics that come into play in our legal system. Politics don't belong in our legal system at all. Our legal system is supposed to be neutral, supposed to adhere to you're innocent until proven guilty. No matter if you're poor, middle class, rich, you have the same rights as everybody else. But yet, because you're a Hollywood celebrity or a politician or a statesman or in some office of trust, some reason that standard doesn't apply to you. That legal system is bent. You're given more leniency than you give the homeless person or the common everyday working person that just made a mistake. I'm the first one to tell you there's some crimes that's committed that you deserve to do time. And some crimes you don't deserve to see the light of day. But when we have politics playing a role in our legal system to base rulings on, or to give favor over upon somebody else because of their stature, that's why the system is so broken. It's become all about the money and not about the law. We all know it. We've been saying it since the 80s. If you got enough money, you can buy your way out of it. Should never be the case. But they put that value on the money. That's why our legal system is so broken. Between the politics, the money, the corruption, the double standards, our legal system pretty much implodes in itself. We have states that'll take advantage of it and just say, oh, we don't have to honor the Constitution or the federal laws. Then we have people buying into the fact that immigration means everyone. No, it don't. Immigration by law, how it is written, even in our Constitution, is for those that go through the process, those that obtained a visa, obtained asylum, obtained a work permit or a student permit to be in our country. Those that use the immigration system to become U.S. citizens, which I'm going to talk about that too, because that's a very broken system. That's immigration. What they're talking about, that you guys are being fed, bombarded with these last few months, even more so than the last 2 weeks, we're talking about illegal immigration. What are these sanctuary cities talking about? Illegal immigration, illegal aliens. Those who have committed a crime. Oh, yep, see? Keyword there. They committed a crime when they crossed our border without doing it the right way. And it stops right there. There's no argument left. It's very black and white on that. They've committed a crime. But, like all laws, you know who's the best lawyer? A businessman. You want to know why? Because here's how law works. This is really bad, but it is truth. The law works simple. It is your interpretation of the law. It's how you interpret it and how you sell it to the judge or jury. If you can make them believe your interpretation of the law, your interpretation of it to the jury, and they believe that interpretation, then you can win your case. Because you got to remember, that judge has his own interpretation of that law. That's why, knowing the laws, case laws, how they've been ruled, is important when you walk into a courtroom when you're fighting a legal case. If you can point out these court cases where it has been ruled on already, because once a law hits the books, once it's heard in a courtroom, it is now usable in every courtroom. But you got to sell that interpretation. You got to sell what the other judge or jury had ruled on that interpretation. You got to show the judge, the jury, this is what they said. This is what this judge said about this law. That's why he cited for this person in this case. Seriously, don't need an attorney, just be a businessman. That is the other problem with the legal system. Laws should be fair, black and white. Simple. To where there's no room for interpretation. You know when you break a law. Just like if you touch that hot kettle on the stove, without gloves, and you don't grab it by the handle, you're gonna get burnt. Common sense. Simple. But they don't make the law simple. They make laws so they're up for interpretation. To where it could have many forms of interpretation. It's so vague. Our politicians, our states, they do this on purpose because it makes it easy for them to feed the legal system, feed the prisons, feed the jails, feed the lawyers, feed the probation departments, feed the county jails, and get that revolving door going. So yes, our legal system, it's become about money and politics, not about the black and white law, the common sense law that has only one interpretation, which makes the system broken. That's why the system is manipulated, used, and abused. That's why the innocents do more jail time than the corrupt. It creates the double standard. So, we might ask, why don't they fix it? Why would they? If they fixed the system, do you think we'd have as much corruption as we have today in this country? You think these politicians would be able to get away with half the stuff they've gotten away with? Our judges, our police, our federal agencies, our Justice Department? No, they wouldn't. That's why they don't fix it. Just like, why haven't they brought that case back in front of the Supreme Court? Why haven't they talked about it during Mueller's investigation, pointing it out the influence that corporations have over our elections? Well, we know why. Because that corporation spends millions on their campaigns and on their advertisements. It's no longer about we the people. When it comes to the legal system, it's not about we the people. It's all about the hierarchy, which makes the system even more broken. we're always talking about we want change, we want things fixed. Problem is, we want it, but they don't. They never want to get to the root of the problem. They don't want to ever fix a system that's making them millions and billions of dollars. They don't want to put in place common sense laws that are as they are, black and white, no interpretation needed. You do this, and this is the result. There's no room for interpretation there. That's why we see all these TOSs that are so open-ended and open for so much interpretation, because it's part of the legal system. They can say whatever they want and interpret it the way they want by leaving it so vague and open that they'll take it to the legal courts and win every time. Like I said, TOSs are worse than lemon laws. A TOS should be written to where there's nothing left for interpretation. But, that's why they pay $20,000 to some lawyer to write up these vague TOSs. That's why they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these huge legal teams. Why? Because we can't afford that. That's the other broken part of the system. And I know right about now lawyers are hating me. Because I'm pointing out the biggest flaws of their part in the system. That they can be bought, whole teams bought, where the everyday person can't afford to even have an attorney that can compete with that whole team. To where they'll just tie it up in the legal system for so long till you're bankrupt. And that should be illegal. Because that's violating our constitutions on the rights to a speedy trial. But once more, we're back to the double standards. We're back to corporations that can afford to spend millions. Unions that can afford to spend thousands on high-end lawyers. It's an abuse of the system. And it makes the system broke. We shouldn't even use the term legal system. Because there's nothing legal with the system. The way it is manipulated, used, and abused. I kind of laughed about them talking about prison reform bill. The very things that needed to be added to it, they wouldn't add to it because they would never be able to get the votes for it. And it's the very thing that's needed to be added to it so people stop being used as a revolving door, treated like cattle that has a price on their head for every time they go back into the system. They want to truly bring prison reform back. Prison reform? It starts by putting an end to the revolving door policy, making money off the individual. You take the money out of it, you'll start getting reform. You start putting education in the prison system, training to where they can train to get out and have a job. That means those people are more likely to succeed than fail. Then you'll start weeding out the ones that made a mistake from the real criminals. Because the real criminals will keep finding themselves back in. And we'll increase that 1% to almost 50%. Because you've educated them, you've given them the training to be able to go out there, the skills to be able to go out there and become a role model citizen. Instead, the system wants them to keep coming back so they keep getting paid. And for those that don't believe me, start doing your research. Start talking to people that's been in the system. Ask them, why do we have such a huge prison overpopulation, crowding? I know some states that people are having to wait to even go to prison because they're so overcrowded. And there's many blames to go around. But the fact is, it's gotten to the point where you commit anything over a misdemeanor, you might go to prison. And we have some petty felonies that shouldn't be felonies. We shouldn't be sending the drug addict just because he got caught for possession to prison. That's not helping him. In fact, from what I hear, from what I've talked to, people I've talked to, it's just as readily available in the prison. So how you fixing the addict's problem? And the same could be said sending him to a group. The other part of the broken system before I wrap this up, since we've seen certain individuals of late be cleared or treated like, oh, it's a mental issue, it's a mental health issue. I got 2 days or 3 days of counseling. And this is applying to the rich because you know what I'm talking about. How many cases we see that have been people have been accused of rape or pedophilia? Oh, it's a mental illness. We're going to give him mental health and psychological help. No, doesn't work that way because you're abusing once more the system, and it's been very abused because it seems like the rich can get it off, but the everyday person, the person actually might have a mental issue, ends up in prison because then it doesn't apply. I've heard some of the stories there as well. People that shouldn't even be in prison, that should be in a mental hospital or mental facility, being sent to prison. But the rich man, the Hollywood celebrity, the politician, can get away with just having a 3-day psychological treatment with a shrink. No, there once more we're dealing with the double standard. Because they can do it, why can't the everyday person do it? When in fact, if that crime, such a crime was committed, and I've always viewed that when it comes to murder, rape, pedophilia, mental health is not an option. That's ignoring the crime that was committed. That's lessering, saying what he or she did isn't a crime because it gets used and abused. And we know there's cases where there's been some people that were just straight mentally unstable to where, yes, they deserve a padded room for the rest of their life because they would serve in prison. Funny how mental health system interacts with the legal system. But it seems to only work on high profile cases that are dealing with the rich. Now it goes, people are going to ask, well, how do we fix the broken legal system? I think you're going to start seeing with many of these cases and many of these systems, the fix is removing the corruption. It's removing the money, the corporations. Going back to common sense laws that are black and white, not left up for interpretation. Because most cases, these systems were designed to be either implode on themselves or to protect those that they deem are above everyone else. These systems are created to enslave, indoctrinate, and control. Almost every one of the systems we'll talk about, they're designed to. That's why they don't change them. That's why they don't fix them. Every one of these could be simply fixed. Remove the double standard. Uphold the law. Punish those that abuse it, the bad apples. Stop letting corporations make money off it and control it. Fix it so a person can't be tied up in court until they're bankrupt. To where a person that owns land can't be removed from their property. Protect the whistleblowers that are outing this corruption in these corporations and political systems. Protect the good cops, the good federal agents, and punish those bad ones. Treat them as they should be, as a citizen. The law, there isn't two standards of the law. The law applies to everyone. You guys start doing that, and you'll start seeing change. You'll start seeing people that'll start trusting the cops. Sorry, feds, I don't know what you guys can do to get trust people. People just, I mean, just the word fed, just, you know, mistrustful. You work for the government, and that's your downfall. But I know there's good feds out there that believe in what they do. Unfortunately, there's, that mystery about them, and that right there will always lead for conspiracy theories and whatnots because, well, that's their job. But when we start trusting our judges to vote as the law is written, not as the politicians tell them to interpret it as, when we see our police departments and the good cops that are out there, which is almost 98%, guys, 98% of the cops do their job, truly want to protect and serve. It's only that 2% in that group that make it bad for the rest of them. Now start becoming more of the pillars of the community, having chats with people as you pass by. Open up conversation, dialogue. Shit, even give an occasion, give a dude a break. Yeah, you were going 8 over. You know what? Just don't do it again. If you do it again, I'm gonna sock you a ticket. I mean, yes, I know that's part of the reason the system's broken, but you know. I remember when they used to do that. Now, if you were being stupid, you deserved what you got. It starts with the individual company groups. As far as the lawyers go, and they're not gonna, like I said, they're probably the ones gonna be most pissed at me of them all. And when we start talking about the healthcare and medical systems, same thing gonna apply here. Here's how you fix the attorney aspects of it. They can only be paid. They can only be paid so much. That way, they can no longer be bought out. That way, every lawyer that becomes a lawyer is doing it because they believe in what they do. They believe in the integrity of that oath that they take. They believe in, and that goes both ways for defense attorneys and prosecuting attorneys. Set a fee that everyone can afford. So it doesn't matter if they're rich or poor, they're getting the same lawyer. That way they're not being a lawyer just for the money. They're being a lawyer because they care. That becomes some of the problems with the Sunday system. It's funny, it's pretty much all about the money. Most people want to be a doctor or a lawyer because they make so much money. Because they get in this big firm, they're going to make all kinds of money. Well, we know what happens when people start getting that mentality that leads to corruption, that leads to the misuse and the abuse of the system. Simple fix. You can't make no more you can't charge no more than $1,000 per case that you hear. They're still going to make all kinds. In fact, they're going to make more money if you think about it. Here's the twisted logic in this that they delude everybody. If people can afford it, what happens? Oh, you have more clients than you know what to deal with. So therefore, you're making more money than you know what to deal with because it's affordable. So people are going to actually come to you, especially if you're good. If you're good, you're probably going to have to hire people that are just as good as you. Guess what? Just opened up another venue for you, another opportunity to become a business of sorts. I'm sure there's another proper term for that. That's the problem. The money has corrupted everything. Oh, you got to pay me $5,000 before I even sit down and listen to what you got to say. Then it's going to be $1,000 an hour that I have to spend. That's ridiculous. One set price that everybody can afford. That'll help fix the system. The other thing that'll help fix the system paying the cops what they deserve, increasing their pay and benefits. That'll take the temptation of corruption out of it. Our cops don't get paid what they truly deserve for the job that they do. And that actually goes with a lot of things in these systems. It's designed to be that way because it brings in the people that see an opportunity. Oh, well, nobody will miss if I slide this cash over here. You're just inviting it in by not paying them what they should be paid, especially for the job they do. I wouldn't do their job, what they do, for what they get paid and very little benefits. Hell no. Well, that's not the main reason, because I would see something and I would end up in jail. That'd be the time, it, they'll, oh, it's that guy. Yeah, no, treat him just like we treat everybody else. I'd be that guy. The system wouldn't work. The broken system would actually protect me. That's my luck. But I know me. I know some of the things that they've seen or encountered. Oh no. But that's the other part of the problem. I know that. That's why I don't do that job. We have other people that look at it another way. Man, I can get away with this, 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 that. Hell yeah. No, it don't work that way. That just creates more problems and helps continue to break the system. The other thing is, Congress needs to get their act together, and the Supreme Court needs to get their act together and put an end to these corporations being above the law, being above the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. No. As a business owner, small business owner, I'm bound by the law. I can't do what a corporation does and get away with it. So what makes them any different? Once more, double standard. Remove the double standards. Would help fix the system. But unfortunately, all those things rely on our state elected officials, our federal elected officials, our Justice Department, our Supreme Court, our governors, mayors, presidents, town councils. It all relies on them to listen to the people and fix the broken systems that they do not wish to fix because they're making money off it. It's protecting them or whatever other thing that's got them in such delusion other than, oh, we're better than the rest. That we hold some responsibility too, because we keep voting these idiots back into office. But that's another broken system, which we will discuss. Now, like I said, this legal system, we could revisit with probably 10 other facets from different places that are part of the legal system. That's another big issue. Our legal system is too big. Too much encompasses and has its ties into the legal system, which it's designed that way because it helps keep collapsing it. It puts that much more weight on it to bring it down. But I'm going to wrap this up. The next one I'm going to do, which will probably be Monday, I want to do our broken education system. because to me that's something I've been working on for the past month, is dealing with the education system, and I think it's a very important one. I'm trying to do these in kind of an order of importance. As much as our political problem system needs addressed, our education system needs addressed, just like this legal system needs addressed, and there's much more could said. So I might revisit this one in the series and get into some other aspects. I didn't mention the DEA and a bunch of other things. Just like I said, it encompasses so much. And we'll end up touching on the legal system again when we talk about our political system and state systems. So we're not going to get away from the legal system. But it's important because it is one of the biggest problems right now. It's one of the biggest problems right now with the corruption in our politics. The stuff that's happening in our school systems. We have a broken legal system, and we're not getting justice for things that are being done wrong, that are illegal. So it was important to cover a little bit, because not fully in depth, but a little bit. Our education system, that is a huge one. Because, as we all know, that's where our children are being taught. And that has a huge impact on our country. Just not at the preschool, K through 12, but even our college systems. It's all part of the education system, and it is very broken right now. It's been broken for a long time. But it is something that needs to be addressed. And that will probably be another lengthy one as well. Because it's a system that we have to fix. Because if we don't, our problems are going to keep getting bigger and worse. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know nobody likes talking about broken systems. Probably don't want to listen to them either. But I'm doing it. And like I said, I'm trying to make it interesting. Can't promise fun here. Because, I mean, they're not fun when you're talking about broken systems. But we'll find a way to keep it positive for the most part. The next one, I also, when I do, I don't know if I had an audience tonight or not because Hangouts has been screwy. YouTube's been screwy for the past 2 weeks. So, but the next one, we do the education system, and what I kind of want to do for each of these is try to keep it under 2 hours, but open up like the last half hour to hour, have an open hangout so you guys can give your opinions and views. So we'll do that starting with the education system. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. And for some of you, I know you'll be traveling for 4th of July. You guys have a happy 4th of July. Be safe. And I will see you on the next one.